my name is Rachel. I am doing my May wrap up today, so I'm going to split my May wrap up into 3 videos this month just because I read quite a lot and it kind of fits easily into different genres. So I'm going to do this video, which is like the main like fiction, non-fiction type things that I read. Then I'm going to do a classics wrap up and then a graphic novel wrap up, just because I think I read around like 21 books in May, and then I read a lot of things that I DNF'd as well. The first thing that I DNF'd was Getting the Pretty Back by Molly Ringwald. This is like her attempting to help women with aging and what it's like after they've had a baby, because obviously you aren't pretty after you've had a baby or once you've got old. And the whole thing was just offensive, and I just didn't enjoy it in any way, shape or form. I found it patronising and, like I said, offensive, and just not with women that I personally share. So yeah, that went out the window after like an hour of listening to the audiobook. Would not recommend. I also listened to 20 minutes of When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, and didn't enjoy this, wasn't for me, didn't last longer than 20 minutes. I don't think it was that there was anything wrong with the story or the narrative or anything. I just immediately was like, this just isn't for me, I'm not getting into it, and I didn't feel an overwhelming need to try and get into it, so I stopped that one straight away. Then I was listening to How Did All This Happen, which is an autobiography from an English comedian called John Bishop. I think I listened to, I got 18% through the audiobook, but it just didn't hold my attention, and I didn't find him as funny on the page as he is in real life. I DNF'd that as well. So DNF'd The Curvy Girls Club by Michelle Gorman. I got about halfway through this and I was reading it because that girl in the title for the Buzzword Readathon, it's like, it has a very positive view of women and weight and all of those things and body image, and it was quite good in that respect, but it just wasn't a genre that I usually pick up, and I picked it up for this representation even though it wasn't in a genre that I enjoy. It was more like chick lit, and yeah, I'm just not a big fan, so I decided to put that one down. But it wasn't because it was bad, it just wasn't the genre for me. And the last thing I DNF'd isn't a DNF in a negative way, and it is Red Clocks by Lenny Sumas. I got 34% of the way through this audiobook and I was really enjoying it. Like, I was really in the story. It's absolutely fantastic. Like, it's really vulgar, but I was really enjoying it. However, I only had 2 days left on BookBeat because I was switching over to Audible, and I just decided that I didn't want to rush it for those 2 days to try and finish it, because I was enjoying like just taking my time and reading it. And because I got so far into it and I know how much I was enjoying it, and I can't imagine it changing halfway through, I imagine I would have enjoyed it to the end. So I think I'm going to wait and just buy that book when I'm back in England and then read it then. So that's all my DNFs, and then we have my fiction books for the month, of which, fiction and non-fiction, of which there are 4. So the first is The Other Boleyn Girl by Philippa Gregory, and I gave this 3 stars. Again, read this for the Buzzword Readathon, and this is basically following the Boleyn sisters meeting Henry VIII and having relationships with him, and obviously Anne Boleyn becoming the Queen of England and all of that sort of stuff. I was glad that I read this because I have 2 more Philippa Gregory's at home. I know I have Red Queen and The King's Curse, and I do really want to read them, but I've always been like, would I buy more of her books? Do I want to like read them in publishing order, all that sort of stuff? And no, I don't think I would. I would read the books that I have at home, but I don't think I would buy more from that series, because it was good, but it wasn't like my favourite ever, and I just found her writing very overdramatic. Like, I think it was Kath from Kath Elizabeth Reads who was reading it and compared it to a soap opera, and I couldn't agree more. It read exactly like watching Coronation Street, and if you're English you get that reference. I did enjoy it, just not overly. So yeah, there was that one. I listened to that one on audiobook. Next I read The Girl on the Train by Paul Hawkins, which I gave 4 4 stars. I have previously read Into the Water by Paul Hawkins, which I did not enjoy very much. I enjoyed the story and sort of the history that's weaved into the story, but my biggest issue with it is that she had too many point of view characters and the story just kind of was going everywhere and you didn't know who was who. This didn't do that at all. She handled the point of view characters perfectly. She only had 3. I loved, my favourite thing is that she messes with the timeline between those 3 point of view characters, so that you have Megan, Rachel and Anna, all of their storylines are happening outside of each other. So Megan's is happening completely before the other 2. Rachel's kind of dots everywhere, and then Anna's weaves around Rachel's but kind of goes back and forth as well. That was a really good way of being able to drop surprises and plot twists on the reader, so I thought that was really good. My negative of this book is that men are terribly represented in this book. From what I can remember, there are 3 men in this book that actually occupy like any sort of character who affects the plot type of role. 2 of them are very violent and abusive, and the other one takes advantage of his position and of a woman who is arguably mentally ill of a sort. It doesn't really explain how, but she definitely has some issues and he takes advantage of that and he is in a position of care over her. And I just thought the fact that there wasn't one man in it that was represented well, that kind of bothered me with this. So I did enjoy it, but I would say that is a major drawback of this book. Like, people go on about representing women well, and that's very important to me, but also that doesn't mean you can just paint all the men as baddies and horrible people. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I give it 4 stars, but there was some stuff that I didn't completely enjoy about it. Next we have The Hedge Knight by George R. R. Martin. This is a novella. It's the first in the Night of the Seven Kingdoms book, which is a collective of 3 of the novellas, which are about Duncan Egg, from the Song of Ice and Fire universe, but not Song of Ice and Fire. So these stories take place in Westeros, and they take place around 80 years before the events of the Song of Ice and Fire series. So already one of my favourite things about this book was that we got to see a Targaryen on the throne, which we have not seen through all the Song of Ice and Fire series, but we always hear about, and the fact that we've got Targaryens on the throne was just really cool to read about. I only listened to the first one because, like I said, my book beat thing was running out and I managed to just about get the first novella in. So yeah, I have read that and I'm planning to read the other 2 as well. I do have the book at home in England, so I'm either going to read it there or just listen to the audiobook. And I gave this one 4.5 stars and adored it. It was really cool reading a George R. R. Martin book that started and ended with the same character and his point of view, because George R. R. Martin famously has like a billion point of view characters, which he handles just all the best writing techniques of all time. But it was really cool to see him just stick with one through the whole story, and I absolutely loved this novella, and it was just really nice being back in the Westeros like universe that I love so much. Like it's the same as Hogwarts for me. Like, I really love Game of Thrones and the universe, and I just think it's so well constructed in George R. R. Martin's books that I just love to go back there, and it was nice to go back with a new story. So I'm definitely going to read the other 2 novellas, and hopefully then I want to reread the whole Game of Thrones series, because I need to. I've reread it all the way through like 3 times, and then I reread the first 3 or 4 books at least like 3 or 4 times when I was at university, because I did my dissertation on Game of Thrones. So I actually have read them quite a lot. And now I've just like not read them for like 2 years, and it's just like, no, I need to read them now. So yeah, I finished The Hedge Knight and that was amazing. And then the last book that I finished this month for this video was Women in Power, A Manifesto by Mary Beard. This doesn't have tabs in, which my books usually do. However, I wrote in this book, blasphemy, I know, but sometimes when books are like educational and important, I write on them, and I know that people hate it, but I just do it anyway. I gave this 5 stars and I adored this. This is very similar to Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's books, We Should All Be Feminists and Dear Jawali. I refer to them as like bite-sized feminism. So they're like little books, there's not a lot of pages, the writing's quite big, it's normally based on like lectures and stuff, and it just gives you a flavour for some important feminist issues and why feminism is still important today. And that's mainly what the Ngozi Adichie ones do. What this one did, which I enjoyed a lot more, was that Mary Beard goes into women's role in society in like classicism and way back, like with the Romans and the Greeks, and in art made by those societies and all that sort of stuff, and she brings it forward to now. She looks at presidential campaigns, especially. She looked at Barack Obama, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and how those 3 are dealt with in the media and like slur campaigns and all this sort of stuff. She also focused a lot on the UK, which I enjoyed. She talked about Parliament a lot, which was really cool. And I just really found this book quite hard-hitting. And whereas Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's books put into words some of the feelings that I had, this book gave me completely new thoughts where I was like, oh my god, that is literally like, how does no one realise that? How is that happening? Which definitely, like, I really enjoyed this book. And yeah, it just felt more relevant because it was based in like history and classism, but it just brought it forward to our society today. So would highly recommend this and absolutely adored it. So yeah, they are the 3 I have right now. Oh, I could mention, this I also read a bit more of this month. This is Democracy Alive by Paul Cartledge, and I read about another 10 or 20 pages of this. It's getting very confusing, so I might have to ask my girlfriend what some of it means because she's very into this kind of stuff. But yes, so that is everything that's like for this video of what I read. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in part 2. Bye!